Hi guys, so I was reading a quote. Remember, that dream was planted in your heart for a reason. Which brings us to today's episode and today's story time, which is just about my journey career wise, what it was, what it is right now, how I feel about it, and everything. And I hope this video encourages someone because you might be feeling lost, but you don't know what to do. You don't know what you want to do. I was there, and I hope it just makes someone relate. So let me take you back to when I finished high school. I went, just a bit of education background. I went to Mountain View Primary School, then I was transferred to a boarding school, which is Mukumu Primary School, a boarding school in Western, which shaped me a lot. And after that, I passed my exams and went to Loreto High School, Limuru, where it really shaped me. It really shaped me, exposed me to the things I loved. So when I remember very well when I was in Loreto and then you had to choose optional subjects in Form 1. And I remember having a conversation with my sister and my mom about what do we choose. And of course, my sister was saying, choose business. And I was saying, I think I like music, but I also love art. But she was like, you choose business so that after that you can maybe do business. Anyway, I remember getting into Form 1, going to the business class and sitting for 5 minutes, and I hated it. And I left and I went to the music class and I felt at home. I was like the first music student. Me and a friend of mine, we were the only music students for like that first week. And that small story shapes a lot from where we live, where we are right now, shapes a lot of what has happened. So I did music in high school and I loved it and I excelled, and it came very naturally to me. It came very naturally to me, from piano to the traditional dances. Everything came very natural to me. So when I did KCSE, I got an A in everything except Kiswahili, because I don't know, as Luos, hiyo si lugha chetu or something. I don't know. That's the only subject that I didn't really pass. I got a B plus, but the rest I got A's. So I got like 48 cluster points, if I remember. And then comes a time you have to choose what you want to do. And it was very confusing because very many high-end courses like doctor, medicine, law, they required high points. And a course like music required like 36 points. And you have 48 points, and you are telling your parent you want to choose this one with 36 points, and they're like, but you can do this one, but you can be an engineer, but you can do, I loved sciences, so I'm like, yeah, I can do engineering kidogo, but for sure I don't want to be around blood, so medicine was not even a subject of conversation. But also growing up, I really loved, I wanted to be a policewoman at some point when I was a baby. So I really loved the law and enforcement of rights, of human rights. Like it spurs something in me, stars something in me when I hear someone was violated. I feel like the urge to help them. And that's a thing that probably influenced why I ended up choosing law other than other factors. And that's how I ended up choosing law. But before I joined university, now you have a 2-year period because I was a JAB, they're called JAB students. I decided to go back to my school where I was in primary school, Mountain View Primary School. I talked to the head teacher and I told her, listen, I'm home, I can teach. I need to make money. I can come here, I can teach. I was also at Alliance, so I told her I can be teaching French and I can be taking up the music kids who actually do recorder. So she was like, pleased to have you. I was a good student. And she hired me. I remember she was paying me 10K per month for the French tutoring and then 5K per month for the music tutoring, which I did diligently. And I used to go for half day so that afternoon I can go for my French classes and everything. those little moments, looking back, they have shaped me till now. I don't know what God was doing. I don't know what I was doing, but God was doing a lot. So my first job was a music teacher and a French teacher. And then when I joined campus, I teamed up with a friend of mine called Comfort. She was running the music program in Premier Academy, and she told me, "So you come, we teach." And I remember now we're in law school, but me, lunch hour, I'm teaching. I'm teaching music at Premier Academy. And that's how I stayed there for a while. I stayed there for a while. As I was doing law, I was teaching. And I got so many home clients. So I was going to homes and doing piano lessons. I have kids who I have grown, like, we've grown together in this journey. They were so small and now they're like teenagers because I taught them right from a younger age. So now in law school, I come to realize, man, I don't like this thing. We're just learning about criminal law, civil law, tort law, procedures, things. I didn't really like them. I don't think they sparked me that much. And I remember one day I actually cried. I was just crying and I'm like, what am I going to do? What is this I have gotten myself into? But I was excelling. I was an A student, by the way. Like me, I passed. Reading comes naturally to me. There are courses I definitely enjoyed, but there are those that I struggled to enjoy. Like, for example, I loved the law of the sea. I don't even understand how I loved that. I loved public international law. So, just like a normal person, I had areas of the law that really stirred something in my heart and those that I really did not want. So, we go into third year, and I remember we have to do some, no, second year you have to do something, the one that you go to a court system and you learn. I forgot what it's called. I'll put it here, but let's call it internship in a court. So I apply for a court system where I don't think, the rules will be too rigid for me. Like somewhere I'm not micromanaged, because remember, I have side hustles. I have things I'm doing. I have students I'm seeing at home. So definitely I went to a court that is not micromanaging me. And that's how I landed into thicker law courts. I was there as an intern. I went some days to listen to the cases and do what you're supposed to do. And some days I just didn't like some days I would be in court and I'm like, I can't do this. I think that was one of the things that opened my mind to the fact that I hated litigation and I was not seeing how I'd do this for the rest of my life. Like, no, hell no, I did not like it. So I continued still with my part-time job, but did my coursework. And then I remember even at some point I worked at the law reform. That is something I enjoyed, being at the background of what is happening in the legal sphere and not on the forefront, like being an advocate and everything. Anyway, fast forward to fourth year, I get to fourth year, we finish our exams, I pass, and then there was a list of people who probably stood out, and I excelled, and I was in that list. So we get calls from like top law firms that are looking for like people who are really good in the coursework, and I happened to be on that list, and that's how I get my first job at a law firm. It's called Muri Mwaniki Law Firm. It was in town. I can't say I enjoyed working there, not because the working environment has a problem. No, my point is I did not like what I'm doing. I'm doing drafting. I'm doing everything about. I'm just doing just the law. I did not enjoy doing that every day. And then being now that I'm in an 8 to 5 environment, I kind of had to let go of my creative outlets. I didn't mention to you that before I joined campus, I was also at Kenya Conservator of Music, where I was learning my favorite instrument, the piano, and it was good. It was really good. So, and even during campus, I took part in music activities that were happening in the university. I was in the UN school choir. I went to China because of singing and I studied Chinese. So yes, I was doing the law, but any creative outlet I would get, I would grab it. So if it was music, I went for music. If it was Chinese, I went for Chinese. If it was Chinese and music, I studied that. So there was a lot of creativity happening on the sides. And so getting an 8 to 5 job now meant that I let go of so many things that were a part of me without knowing. And I worked there for like a month before I was called for an interview at MMC. MMC is one of the big law firms in Kenya, and going to MMC and passing the interview was a good thing. It was that thing that your parent also feels so good. This is a big law firm. You're getting paid as an intern. People are not getting paid that time. So it was a big thing in terms of telling people, I work at this and this. I work at this and this. But do you enjoy? So I ended up being one of the interns that was posted to Mombasa. And looking back, I'm so thankful. It was one of the hardest times as a woman growing up in her 20s and confused about what they want. But I love that God isolated me in that season, honestly. If I look back, now I can look back and say, because Mombasa was away from family and into the workspace. You were thrown into the workspace, and the Mombasa law firm was busy. It was a very fast-paced environment. And I remember I was now thrown into the conveyancing department. Remember, I've told you I did not like litigation. Like, I discovered that early. So I made sure I land in a department that at least is more understanding. So I talked to HR. I told her, I want to try conveyancing. So I was in the conveyancing department. Now, the work environment was, now that I'm in Mombasa, I remember I had clients who I'm teaching music, and everything that I was doing musically, I was in a singing group. We were singing with my friends. I was in so many things musically, and that meant they stop because now I am working in Mombasa 8 to 5. And oh my God, I was excited that I'm in Mombasa as a young girl. I'm like, I'm going to live next to the beach. That didn't happen. But I did not love it there at all. At all. Did I love the work? Did I love the fact that I understand land law? I understand conveyancing? Yes. Did I see myself doing it for the rest of my life? No. And every Monday was just, you know how Monday is coming and you're feeling some type of way about Monday and you just want to cry because Monday is coming, not for any other reason. The work environment was not also the healthiest. I don't want to get into that. It was not the healthiest, but I did not enjoy working as an advocate, a lawyer at that time. And every day it showed. And I remember one of the most monumental times of my life was one Sunday. I was just feeling so down and asking God, man, is this where we've reached? Is this where we've reached? Because one other creative aspect was I was blogging with my friend. Our blog was called Chic and Legal. And being in Mombasa, that took a break. Being in Mombasa meant very many things that I loved took a break. And one day I was listening to a sermon by T.D. Jakes, and oh my God, see, I cried. I cried because he talks so passionately, and he was talking about living your purpose. That most of us are just like robots, just operating. You're operating because it's Monday to Friday or Monday to Monday, but not because you understand what God has placed in your heart to do. And that someone hit me deep because I don't know if he gave an analogy of, you might be walking, going to work, and you don't like that job and you're hit by a car. And that's the end of your life. And that hit me so hard. It hit me so hard. I was like, by the way, if my life ends today, will I have lived my purpose? Would I have said I lived a full life in terms of doing what I do every day? Because your career is one of those things you should love doing. It should be something that flows from your heart because you're going to do it every day. And that's just my personal opinion. I was being paid and I would have made even much more money as an advocate. But every day of my life, I know I would have been sad, especially as a litigation person. And so that day I really cried and I prayed, please God, if this is not for me, just remove me out of this situation, but help me figure out then what I want to do. Because most of the time you know what you don't want, but you don't know what you want to do. And so that's when now my internship ended in Mombasa and we were posted back to the Nairobi branch. I went to HR, and of course my rotation in conveyancing was ending. I knew my next rotation is litigation, and I knew I don't like litigation. So I went to HR, and that day I cried. Okay, that HR woman, bless her soul, she was really nice, but she was also someone who understood that you may have studied something and you don't like it, because she was an advocate, but she was not practicing. She loved HR. So I was talking to her. I'm telling her I really want to quit. Why? I'm telling her I don't like what I'm doing. I don't think it's meant for me. Yes, I excel. Yes, I understand all these things, but I don't love it. Now you're taking me to litigation. Okay, I cried like a baby. And she was like, okay, fine. What if we strike a deal and you remain in conveyancing? I was like, no, I think I really need time to figure out what I need to do. I think that's the most important part for me, because I feel so many things have stopped for me to do this. And the more I'm here, the more I'm not doing things that came so easy to me and I loved them. And I need to figure that out. So I quit. Now imagine I was in Nairobi and my parents know I'm earning well. I'm supposed to go to KSL the next year. And let me tell you, for a week or 3 days, I think 3 or 4 days, I used to wake up, dress in a suit, go to work, because my dad used to love dropping me somewhere. So if he drops me and says bye, mi naenda town na chill na window shop. Guy, or I go home because I know my mom is not home, and I chill, and then at 4 maybe I'll do a re-entrance, Okay, my mom is watching this. Yeah, so I think there was a day when my mom now came earlier than my mom has that habit. And I also have it as a parent of just popping in anytime. And I was home and I was like, hey, she was like, hey, you've come back early. I was like, yeah. We were told to come back early and everything. Well, I knew for a week sitakuwa na fare ya kushinda kwenda tao kuzubaa. So I had to start the conversation, and of course I started with the one I thought would be the easier parent, and that was my dad. So I told him one night, he came and I said, Dad, I need you to know something. I quit my job because I don't like what I'm doing. And he was like, okay. When did you quit? Monday? That's like Friday or Thursday. He's like, okay. What do you want to do? I don't know. Okay, fine. Wow, have you told your mother? No. Okay, you should tell her. I'm like, I don't know how she'll react. And he's like, it's not the end of the world. You'll figure it out. Just tell her. I was like, oh, phew, I'm relieved. So the next day was for talking to my mom, and I remember she was in the room. I went to her. I told Mom, I think I want to tell you something. Being in Mombasa was really hard for me. I realized I didn't like this this work that I'm doing. I've actually never liked law that much, and I'm very confused. And she's like, hey, don't tell me utasema tulikuforce. Hatukukuforce. I was like, I've not said that. I've not said you forced me. Yeah, don't say that. So I was like, no. My message is I just don't like what I'm doing. And she's like, okay, what do you want to do? I don't know. Do you know, I can imagine now as a parent how confusing that was for her or for them. And she's like, I hope you figure it out. I hope we figure it out soon. And it's okay. We will support you. Yeah, but you have to figure it out. Let me tell you the plot twist of this conversation is I said, yeah, but I want you guys to pay for me KSL. And she looked at me like, are you serious? You don't want, but you want to be paid for KSL. KSL that time was like 196,000. I think so. Oh my God. I was like, yeah, I think it is important for me to finish, even though I don't want to do what I want to do. And she was like, okay, fine, we'll think about it. The next week actually was my graduation, and they threw me a bash, and they kept calling me wakili. It was so confusing, but I was just happy that I finished that part. And I remember my graduation speech, I was just thankful to have very supportive parents, because they're not telling people, huyu ajui hata Kenya anataka kufanya. They were just not telling people what the conversation had been, but they were hoping that I'd figure it out. So they agreed to pay for me Kenya School of Law, and I lived near school, and I'm so thankful to God that is the moment I said by there, I told God, this 1 year, I have no pressure to do any work because I'm still a student. I don't have that pressure because I have the support of my parents. It would be nice if I figured out what I want to do. Now in KSL is where I now used that time, because you're in class half day. I used a lot of that time to figure out myself, other than to read and prepare. You can watch how I prepared for my exams. But I had prayed to God deeply. Even I remember in Mombasa, I used to go to the beach Saturday, Sunday, sit there in the beach and just do nothing and think about God. Speak to me. I really need to figure it out. And while in KSL, there are things I started doing that I didn't know I was doing. One, I started my YouTube channel. I knew, because so many people are asking me, what did you do to your hair? What did you do to your hair? I decided this is the time. See, I'm living alone in my room. Let me figure out how to shoot a YouTube channel. It means start a YouTube channel, shoot videos. That's where I started to create such content. In KSL is where I made my website about hair. I stopped blogging with my friends so that I can focus on what, at that moment was interesting me. Our journeys kind of took a different path, which was okay. So I started blogging. And these are things I was doing to remove stress, because I can't just be doing the law every time. People were looking for internships, but Margie had a dream. Margie wanted to now do content. And I remember actually telling my mom, I really think I want to do blogging. That time it was called just blogging. But I don't know how it can make money for me. I still don't know. So in KSL, I started my hair channel. I remember shooting 50 times a wash day routine, because anytime I entered with the camera in the bathroom, steam ilifunika lens. I shot so many videos that never made it to the internet, but I remember my first very well. I remember how I wrote a list of what I will shoot for my channel, and I remember writing a list of brands I dream to work with. And I remember approaching certain brands, Kenyan brands, and doing very interesting projects with them. That time it was free. That's the parts of my content creation journey that I look back and I was used proper. But those parts are still essential to who I am today. So I started my channel, I started my blog, I started writing content, I started being very consistent about posting, whether the quality of the work was bad or good. I was just posting. And I remember one videographer who I could not afford. I had reached out to him, asked him what his rates were. He told me his rates. I didn't have money. I'm just a student, so I couldn't afford. And the minute I posted my first video or photo, he started criticizing in the comment section, your angles are not good, your what are not good. And I was a little bit discouraged, but I blocked, because I was just doing this as an outlet. In KSL, I went back into tutoring. I had home clients who I was still tutoring French. I had home clients who I was doing music. And let me tell you, I used to look forward to those things. They just came naturally to me. So I looked forward to finishing class, going all the way. I remember you're leaving Karen and you're driving all the way to Loresho or Parklands. Whew, it was hard, but looking back, it was just okay. I was just like, this is my life. Even my classmates in law school remember me as the girl who was always, if I'm not in the library, I'm going for a class somewhere. Yeah. And it's very important that I actually mention my husband, who was then my boyfriend, because he's very instrumental in my career journey, because he also gave me clients. He's also a musician, and he was a music instructor at that time. And he had really good networks, and he used to skumia me some clients when I'm broke. And he's like, I think you'd handle this client like that. So we were also very close. And I remember back then, I think 2016 is when we started the company. He told me he has a crazy idea. He wants to leave the schools. He used to teach in international schools. He wants to leave one of the schools, all of them, and he wants to start his own company, which will be providing music to kawaida private schools that we probably grew in the system. And I asked him, what do you mean you are leaving international schools? What do you mean? How can you? That was my mean why are you leaving? And he's like, no. I feel like I need to give back. I need to start a company where I can also provide music solutions to schools that probably can afford it, but have regular kids how we grew. And I was like, oh, that's a good idea. I want to do it with you. I remember we started arguing. I don't remember why I started arguing with him, because relationships is just arguing about everything. I thought he wanted to do it alone, and I was sad that why are you not considering to do it with me. Anyway, so I told him, he asked me, why are you upset? I was like, I want to do it with you. And I don't know how you feel, because we're just, girlfriend, boyfriend. So he's like, okay, fine. You want to do, okay, fine. We'll do it together. And that's how he approached a school, told them, I'll give you instruments, I'll give you music teachers, and we will run your music program. And then working together that time just meant he employed me as one of the teachers. And I helped him. I was helping him do math here and there and everything. Like hesabu za pesa, hesabu za staff, everything. I was helping him running the program. And it was nice. It was nice to do that. It was actually nice to leave school sometime and do that. And that's what I did after Kenya School of Law. Kenya School of Law ended. My blog grew. While in KSL is where I got my first gig. It was with Venus. They were paying me 15,000 for a pictorial, just shooting images of a wedding hairstyle on my blog. And oh my God, I was excited. Where at 15K, you're giving me 50. I was so happy, and I did it back then. And it was on, like, my expenses were coming to 3-5 around there, and then you give me 15, and I'm just in school. I was happy. So when I finished Kenya School of Law, I did not look for pupillage in a law firm. I had a moment of weakness where I was not getting pupillage. I was conned getting pupillage. To check the story time on how I was conned. And I got frustrated, and I was like, maybe I go back to where I was. And then, of course, God redirected that, and someone told me, you should try the Court of Appeal. And that's where I did my pupillage as a pupil. And my pupil master was so graceful. Like, I learned a lot, but it had flexible hours. Once court is done and I've finished my reports and everything, you can leave. So I had time to go teach. I had time to do my blog. Sometimes I was shooting with my phone camera. Sometimes I was shooting with a camera. I bought a camera when I was in KSL. I saved money from my home lessons, and then I bought. So I tried to be as consistent as possible. YouTube was harder, but I still figured it out, and I stayed home for a while before getting pupillage, and I shot a lot of content. I like that I put in the work. I had a vision that I can do this content creation, and I can do the music job. And even when my parents now were asking me, so what are you doing? Because I was not looking for a job actively. I was like, I'm still doing this content thing. It's giving me a little bit of money here and there, and I'm also still teaching. So I was not just sitting home, but I was doing something, even though the money was not a lot if I look back. And I kept consistent at it. I was not asking for my parents' money. I was living home, thankfully, so I didn't have bills. You can't just make these drastic decisions if you have bills. You have to also consider. But looking back, I thank God for my family, for my parents, for being super understanding, super supportive, because they were very supportive. Okay, my dad didn't understand the whole natural hair thing, and he always plotted to cut my hair because I was not combing my hair. We were anti-combing. So we had that kamvutano of, why are you not combing your hair? And me, I'm like, because I'm a content creator and people like it like this is fashion. This is not fashionable, blah, blah, blah. There are days you'd wake up and take me to Kenyatta Market and say, plait your hair. I'm like, I have content lined up, and I'm like, we were a bit combative with the hair, how the hair looked. I remember even dyeing my hair was a big issue when I was in campus. But all this started way back. I just didn't know it was something that was planted in me to grow in terms of career. All this music, content, hair, blogging, all this started way back. Remember when I'm telling you I'm in Form 1, I'm choosing music, and I don't know how I feel about business. All this were planted in me way back. So looking now at where I am, what do I do? Actually, let me just tell you about the pivotal moment when my parents appreciated content creation. Is when Dark and Lovely approached me to go to shoot in South Africa. It's a dramatic trip, but anyway. When Dark and Lovely approached me, my parents, I told them, hi guys, I might be going to South Africa, and we're being paid. We're being paid like 100 120,000 or something. And they're like, my father, my dad, you who doesn't comb your hair, they chose you. They chose you among all the people to go and lecture about hair. That's how they could understand blogging, lecturing about hair. And I was like, yeah, dad, me. Yeah, yeah. And my mom, even the day for leaving the airport, was like, are you sure they're not conning you? Are you sure they're not conning you? And like, they were filled with so much doubt, but so much pride. Because they saw, hey, kumbe, this thing she's doing, iko na potential. So when I came back, my mom always introduced me to people. This is my daughter Margie. She's an advocate and she's also a hair lecturer. Always, to date, that's what she tells her friends. My daughter, she's a hair lecturer. This one has gone to South Africa. Eh? So content creation grew. My platform has grown. And it has grown from hair to motherhood. Because when I transitioned to being a mom, that's what people related with, and also oozed naturally to share content about that. Let me just talk about content creation. It has grown to a point I have worked with several brands, both international and local brands, and it's been mind-blowing to see that it can make me something, even though this is a topic for another day. Content creation is not such a stable career for me, but it's something that I dearly love and I have invested in because I love it. And I hope the returns will even be bigger in future. But when we look at now also the music journey, I decided to work with my husband. I still have my home clients. We ran music in schools together. Now, even when we got married, we put it on paper. We were both directors in our company. And it's been a beautiful journey to see how the company has grown. And I hope it even grows more because we honestly just do what we love. We give back to kids music, the love and joy that music brings. And it's something I really love. It's something I wake up and I go to work. I don't feel like I'm wasting my time. I know what I'm going to do. It's sometimes very hard. Some days are very hard, but like any other job, it's something I deeply feel like I'm fulfilling my purpose. Same to me sharing things about myself on camera with you guys. It's something that I always pray that may this story touch someone, God, and just let it align with my purpose. So if you ask me what I do, that's what I do. I do content creation and I run a music company with my husband, and we are also teachers. We teach music. Like I just went back to being teachers, and the law has come in very handy in how we deal with our staff, we deal with our contracts. I'm also like HR in our company, and it has still come in very handy. There are some law things I would love to venture in the future. That's why I'm saying no one has it figured out. It's a journey. But right now where I am content. If more opportunities come that are very different and diverse, but aligned to what is in my heart, I would definitely pursue them. So I don't know. I just thought of sharing this video with anyone feeling confused. You might not like what you want, and you might also not be in a position to just quit, of course. But it's also good to just think about what has been planted in your heart. We never just start out of the blues. These things start from way back when we were children, way back in high school. There is always something, no matter how crazy, that's sparked in you something. People start entrepreneurship, making things, and they don't know they started it in art and craft. So I would say just think of what was planted in your heart from when you were a child, and maybe I pray that just you figure it out. No one has it figured out, as I've said. But yeah, I hope anyone out there has learned from my career journey. That is what I do, and that's what I'm doing right now. And I really hope that anyone would relate with this video and that you enjoyed. Until next time, leave a comment on what you think. Let me know about your career paths as well. And keep it positive in the comment section and subscribe. Bye-bye.